Yeah, I want to be able to announce that if anybody wants to send any congratulatory type of emails and junk like that, they'll have until the end of the day, August 8th.
Right. Now, are we talking about what we have talked about covering, or are we going to do Superman 12-3?
What's Superman 12-3?
The story, the next story after this one.
Oh, no.
The Superman book.
I would like to do those first, at least those first 12 strips.
Okay.
That tell the origin of Superman. What I have, let's see here. Let me pull up my notes. What I have down here to say at the end of the show, when we get to the next time bit, I'll say that we're going to celebrate 100 episodes, looking at the first 12 of the daily newspaper Superman strips. Savon's in the house. Hi, Savon.
Hi, Savon.
Show you up there on the screen. And then I mentioned that if anybody wants to send any sort of congratulatory email or voicemail, I give them the email address. But let's see. Okay. But I may hint that we may do something a little more. I have a topic. Well, 2 topics for banter. That will be one, the 100 episode. And then I want to talk about these Superman books that I have. One that I've read, nonfiction about publication and Superman and blah, 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 blah.
Right. Okay.
So I may try to gather some facts that we didn't know during the first 100 episodes, that happened during that time period that we weren't talking about because we didn't know what was going on.
Right.
So I don't know. We'll see if I can get myself to work that hard over the next month. That's why I'm kind of leaving it up in the air.
It is just a hobby.
It is. It certainly is. Let's see. Matter of fact, I want to mirror. Yeah, I'll do that for now. That way, when I show the books, you can see the titles. All right. Okay, so I have everything set up a little differently today to try and make things a little easier. Oh, I'm going to start recording now.
I'm going to flip on my Audacity.
Cheer.
Uh-oh. I don't have the latest update installed. Hopefully that won't mess with me.
Neither do I. I skip that all the time because sometimes when you update, it messes with my shortcuts, macros and stuff that I've made. And so I tend to wait to the last possible moment before I update the thing. Savon, how's life your way?
Recording?
All right, turn my phone off so it doesn't distract me.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
I just checking in with you, seeing how life's happening around your way, your side of the earth. How's things, basically? I think the British would say, all right, Savon. Oh, it's happening. Oh, it's happening for sure.
Okay, well.
a bit too much. I bet.
Okay.
Yeah.
I believe both of those are pretty fair summations of
What's your Ed? What's your little subtitle there say? Almost time to pick the second.
I don't know.
I can't read it all. It goes the second S ...
Yeah. Let's see. Where can I see that? Do I set that on this screen? I forget. Let's see. Audio, visual.
I can do it. Almost time to pick the second series. Okay. I can change your headline if I wanted to.
That was for
Comic Book Super Show.
So yeah, which was the last time we recorded. So, been reading the definitive history book. Highly recommended.
The Superman, is it that great big one? The bunch of pictures and junk. I think I have that digitally. Yeah. Yep.
Big blue box set thing.
Yep. It's huge. Yeah. Yeah. I haven't dug into it yet. So I guess that's another Superman book I need to read.
Ooh, across all media. Woof.
Yeah.
Amazon's got it for $81, half price. A little bit more than half off.
Yeah, I think I got it digitally, so I didn't pay.
Almost 500 pages. That's a beast.
All right. So I am double checking. I'm recording. You ready to
start? Let me make sure that I'm messing with Audacity that I started it recording. Yes. Okay.
The following episode was recorded in front of. Should do like the red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather.
Who was it that? Oh, we just watched the Wonder Man series, and because he was an actor, anytime he was going out or say he was doing all of these, mouth, face exercise, jumping, and all this, I'm like, do actors really do that? Yeah, I mean, he looked diligent about it, so I'm like, well, he must be.
Did you like it?
No, not at all.
No, yeah, I liked it. It was all right. I liked it up to a certain. It was like one of those that started really good and then just kind of didn't go anywhere really.
Okay. My issue is this, and it's not just Wonder Man. It's anytime they do this. Okay. You could make a strong argument that tangentially the show was related to an aspect of Wonder Man. I get that. But that was not Wonder Man. From the comic books, okay? Right. The source material, loosely though they may have used it. And so, my beef is, if you're not going to, don't give me the frickin' bait and switch by calling it something that it's not.
Yeah.
I may well have liked it if it was named whatever about a dude in Hollywood trying to hide the fact that he has superpowers and all this and I may still be interested. I'll tell you what, though, Ben Kingsley won that 8 episodes. He was a beast in that, man. He was great. He was awesome. Yeah. I don't dislike the Simon Williams actor. I didn't necessarily recognize him, but just I'm like, I have read Avengers my whole life.
Yeah,
I've never read the Wonder Man, the first series that he had, which I know was set while he was in Hollywood trying to be a movie star, et cetera, et cetera. My Wonder Man is Avengers. And he was not the Avengers Wonder Man, not early Avengers, not this most recent Avengers when he's composed all of Ionic Energy, none of that. So I'm like, well, then it's not Wonder Man, because I knew going into it that wasn't what it was going to be. But you called it that, so that's what it should be.
Yeah.
It should be Wonder Man, So I don't like the fact that they bogart my fandom to try to get, which I watched it anyway, so I'm kind of arguing against what I did or doing against what I'm arguing or whichever. But I did it because there may be a reference in a future Disney, Marvel, something to the series. So I feel kind of obligated to keep up.
Yeah.
Kind of like I do with my hate reading of the X books. I read it because there might be a reference to it and I'll understand it and whatever. FOMO, I guess is what it is. But did I like it? No. Would I recommend it? I wouldn't recommend it, but I wouldn't tell somebody not to see it. I would say, either read about it or watch an episode or two and decide for yourself. Watch Ben Kingsley. That's what I would tell him. Watch Ben Kingsley. He is just
he's good.
And it does connect. If you want a connection, it does connect to the third Iron Man.
It connects
or the
to Iron Man 3 and Shang-Chi because Ben Kingsley was also in Shang-Chi.
He was in Shang-Chi, but definitely as soon as I was like, oh, cool, they're referring, so this is the same dude. Okay,
and so all 3 of his appearances in 3 different Marvel properties, I think he owned all 3 of those. He was the best part about each one of those projects. He is the same reason. Getting him for a Marvel production right now is the same reason that they got I forget his name, but the actor that played Ben Kenobi in the original Star Wars movie. Ben Kingsley.
Not Ben Kingsley. That's who we're talking about.
Oh yeah, that is who we're talking about. Who is that, Sir?
Houston. But they wanted that touch of class to add to their movie full of nobodies, and that's why Lucas got him.
Sir Alec Guinness.
Yeah. And I think look at Ben Kingsley as the same thing. I'm not sure how strong this production is going to be, but I know if I get Ben Kingsley, people will come in just to see him because he's awesome in this.
Going back to the actor faces though, I'm sure you've seen Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back when they're on the set of Good Will Hunting 2 and Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are going lion face, rah, lemon face, lion face, rah.
Yeah. So I guess there's some amount of truth in that, but it was just, to me, it was kind of funny that here he is a pro, but yet he is still using these very starty outy kind of techniques to get ready and to get, unlike say somebody that we've heard about, Dustin Hoffman, who is a method actor. And so he becomes, and it's like, well, this dude wasn't becoming, he was doing all these calisthenics and all the, Yep. I guess what works. And if you get the part, you get the part. So it must work and whatever. So.
All right.
Oh, we also watched Darth Maul.
I haven't watched that yet.
Yeah. It was very confusing to me.
The Star Wars animated, those digital animated stuff from the Clone Wars to Rebels,
Resistance,
the Bad Batch. When something new comes on, I'm always like, oh yeah, I'll watch it when I feel like it. I'm just never interested at all. But then when I actually sit down and watch them, it's like, why don't they just do all of Star Wars this way?
They're not as bad for whatever reason as I think they're going to be.
Exactly.
I don't know. But I definitely will say, for me, Darth Maul is the dude that I saw fight. Who was it? Kenobi and Qui-Gon.
Yep.
Very animalistic, very bestial, very given over to the Sith and just following orders. And this Darth Maul is not that Darth Maul. Yep. And so I was confused as to how the one became this one, because now he's a British speaking kind of dandy, kind of almost pinky up gangster leader kind of character. And I'm like, what?
Well, he always kind of had the British accent because I think Ray Park is British.
Or Australian?
Maybe. Yeah.
No.
But
I
think it was Ray Park. But being cut in half can change a person.
I wouldn't know. If you say so, or even if you think so. I
mean, you'd have to assume
I've never put much thought into
being bisected by a lightsaber would change your perspective on life.
Oh, well, I would. Yeah. Okay. I could. Yeah.
All right. Let me write down this time here real quick and then we'll get started.
Okay. It can change your person into two. That's very true. Yeah. What if they were already two people? That's right. Would it then be four or just three because you have another one and the two? I don't. What if
that's
two sides? There's two
much
sides,
math,
and then they get cut in half.
You promised me there would be no math on this show.
Okay, you're right. Yeah. Well, there certainly is no test, so don't worry about the math.
That's true. Okay.
Mathing is hard. That's why I know one in my entire life. I think I know one math professor personally. That's it. Mm-hmm. So that tells me it must be pretty hard to do, because if it were easy,
everybody
more people would do it. Yep, exactly.
All right. The following episode was recorded in front of a live streaming audience on Sunday, July the 12th, 2026. You're listening to the Superman Super Show, episode number 99, The Suicide Murders. Hello and welcome to the Superman Super Show. I'm a host. My name is Steeven, and 1,000 miles over there to my right is another host. His name is Ed Moore. Ed, how you doing?
Howdy, folks. Pretty good. Trying to stay dry in our gray, rainy day that we have had for 5 in a row or something like that.
Yeah.
So
we've been going back and forth between either wet or so unbearably hot that you don't even want to, even inside in the air conditioning, you don't want to move for fear that sweat will just suddenly.
Yes, I'll get overheated.
Out. Yeah.
I bet that is doing wonders for your lawn, though. The rain hot.
Yeah. And of course, I go out there to mow in the ungodly heat, and my body is really good about saying, all right, dude, you're done. Go inside.
Okay.
But the other day when I'm doing it, I'm out there, my body said, nope, that's it. Shut it off. Get inside. And I was like, I'm almost done. I've just got 2 more rows. I can finish it. And I stayed out there 1 minute too long. I come inside, drying myself, the sweat all off of me. And I sit down for a moment. I start to take a drink of water and I go, oop, run into the bathroom and violently dry heave for like 10 minutes. Nothing came out.
There you go.
For like 10 minutes. And I don't, whether I'm dry heaving or just full up vomiting, I don't do it small. My wife describes it as like a giant bulldozer in the bathroom. So I'm sure I shake the house. I'm sure the cats are running, hiding under beds.
Unto the large gentleman in Life of Brian, End of the World. Which Monty Python is it?
Meaning of Life, Mr.
Meaning of Life, yeah. I can't eat another bite. Offers him a mint.
It's just a tiny little thin one. So wafer thin mint.
Yeah. That was a very disgusting skin.
Yeah. That movie is as a whole not, it's not the best of the 3, but it's got some of the best stuff in it. So yeah.
No, the Holy Grail is the best of any of them. Sorry.
The Holy Grail is my go-to. If I'm going to sit down and watch a Monty Python movie, it's going to be the Holy Grail. I think entertainment wise, the Holy Grail is the best. I think as far as just making a darn good movie, Life of Brian is the best of them.
Okay.
But yeah, Holy Grail. I think the first Monty Python I ever saw was Holy Grail. It was I think I walked into the living room while my dad was watching it, and it was the scene with the knight getting his arms cut off, and I was probably knight. 10 years old, and I'm like,
just
and my dad's cracking up, Yep. and then I think I left the room and I came back in later and saw them launching the cow over the battlements, and I think it was at that point that I said, okay, I've got to watch this.
The first stuff that I can remember seeing was the television series that they had.
Yeah.
That was running on PBS because growing up, my mom and dad were huge PBS fans. Well, plus, of course, it was one of the 2 or 3 channels that you could get analog back in the day off an internet. So you didn't have much choice. But yeah, the whatever circus, Monty Python's Flying Circus.
Flying Circus, yep.
Yeah, episodes of it on PBS that my dad was watching. And that was when I was in, I don't know, probably junior high school. I didn't see the Holy Grail until I was on into college a little bit, a couple years.
Yeah, I would, after I saw what little I saw in the movie, then I found out that there was a TV show and they were playing it on PBS. And so I would try, I think it was like Sunday nights, you'd get late night, you'd get Monty Python, and then you'd get Benny Hill.
Yeah.
And so, I would watch those when I could. And then I discovered in our neighboring town of Lawrence, Kansas, there's a video store called Liberty Hall that had VHS tapes of the episodes. So I would
cool.
Rent them. And
I knew they did that. Yeah, I would have to say that Monty Python and Benny Hill in the late 70s, early to mid 80s, if you wanted to understand British humor, those were the two shows that would explain British humor to you just perfectly.
Yep. I agree. So one thing I wanted to talk about before we get into the story, don't know if anybody caught at the top of the episode that this is episode number 99, which means next month, episode number 100. Ed and I have been talking back and forth about what we want to do for episode 100. I think in the end, neither of us want to work all that hard to make it super special because, like you said, if it's a hobby, it should be fun. But we got a hold of, through archive.org, a PDF copy of the Superman Daily, like volume 1 of the Superman Dailies. So we're going to read the first 12 strips. Those make up one storyline, which is an origin of Superman. Basically, because those came out in 39, I think. And the only origin, we had the origin of Superman in Action Comics #1. And then we get this origin in the strips, which is a more fleshed out origin. I think we get Krypton and he gets put in the rocket and all that kind of stuff. And so it's kind of weird that he expanded on it in the newspaper strips, but the newspaper strips were what Siegel wanted to do all along.
Well, that's what everybody read.
Yeah.
Comic books were kind of a kind of thing, but everybody read the strips in the paper.
Yep. Beyond that, I don't know. We may do some more stuff. I may have some. I don't know. We'll just see. But the reason I wanted to bring that up here at the top of the show is because, back in the day, back in our OG podcasting days in 2006, 2007. If a comic book podcast, hit one of those milestones, 50 episodes, 100 episodes, we'd all get together and send emails and voicemails congratulating them for hitting that 100th episode. So if anybody wants to do that, they're more than welcome to. If you want to send an email or a voice memo or whatever, you can send that to the Superman Super Show at gmail.com. But just know you have until the end of the day, Saturday, August 8th, to get those in, because we're going to be recording the episode on Sunday, August the 9th. So we'll want, of course, that stuff when we're recording the episode. Beyond that,
this week was Joe Shuster's birthday.
Was it? Mm-hmm. Very nice. Very nice.
So he's I saw several people mention that, and I thought, yeah, he's old school enough that,
yeah. So I read this Superman book recently, The Superman Wars by William Bernhardt. It's really, really, really good. I think the thing that I like the most, or one of the things that I dug the most about this book, is that he says in the foreword, this is a work of narrative nonfiction. So it's not as stuffy, I guess you could say. It reads better. And it's more about Joe Shuster, or no, it's more about Jerry Siegel than it is Joe Shuster. He's kind of the main character because, at the end of the day, he came up with the idea behind Superman, and then Joe helped him flesh it out and all that stuff. But it's really good because it takes you from boyhood to his death, and then beyond, because a lot of it is about a lot of the legal wranglings to try to get some control back from Superman. And there's a lot of letters that he shares in the book that are like between Siegel and not Harry Donenfeld. Who was the other guy? I can't think of the other guy's name now off the top of my head. Because there were two guys that ran DC at that time, and they were not good dudes. Well, here's the thing, because you spend the whole book reading about like Harry Donenfeld and he had mob connections, and he was, not a good guy, and he used basically he screwed a lot of people over and made millions of dollars doing it. But then you find out after his death that he used a lot of that money to bring like Jewish people over to America to get them out of the war, to get them away from the Nazis and stuff like that. So it's like,
so you're trying to convince me that the ends justify the means?
No. It's just one of those that nothing is black and white, right?
Right.
He did bad shit. He did good shit. That's all I think that's most people.
Yeah, but I don't think there's a scale that balances out.
No,
I don't personally. I don't think it works that way.
That's not what I'm saying. I just found it very, very, very interesting. They do go into a lot of detail with about Joe Shuster and how at this time, the books that we're reading, the reason why we're seeing names like Leo Nowak as the artist on online databases, whereas the book still says Joe Shuster. Leo Nowak was one of many assistants, and
I could see that. Yeah.
Joe Shuster's was going blind, and so he was having a hard time keeping up, and so he would at first would start out, the assistants would do the backgrounds and he'd do the foregrounds,
right, and
then he would just kind of do rough sketches, and then they would go in and fill it in. And then he would come back and do like the face and stuff like that, and so it's just really interesting stuff. But I enjoyed it so much that I got two more. Superman,
mm-hmm.
The High Flying History of America's Most Enduring Hero by Larry Tye. Now, I have listened to this audiobook, but I haven't read it. So, and then I've got this Superboys, The Amazing Adventures of Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, the creators of Superman by Brad Ricca. Have not listened to or read that.
Cool.
But I got to finish this one first. Blood and Thunder. The Life and Art of Robert E. Howard by Mark Finley.
Yes.
I have a second Robert E. Howard biography, a new one that came out last year, and I started. Savon says, we need to start a book club. We should. All right. So Superman by Larry Tye. That's the first book we got to read. Actually, since I've already read the Superman Wars, let's read that one first. Since I've already read
Superman. That way you have a leg up. I know. Okay. I see what you're doing. I don't think book clubs are supposed to work that way.
I don't care.
Oh, fair. Okay.
One thing I forgot to mention about this book, the Superman Wars by William Bernhardt. He, I heard him interviewed on Michael Bailey. Is that his name? His podcast. He does a Superman podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And this author now is working on a book called The Batman Wars. So it's going to be the same thing, but the legal wranglings with Bill Finger and Bob Kane and all that stuff. So that should be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. And now, although now is still kind of late, there is so much writing like that I think needs to be done before these people are completely gone and we lose another generation of creators. We have had people, just since I have been a fan, we have had major people that have just left. They've died, and I still, as I look around and do whatever, find interviews from people that are dead that are in some kind of off magazine, or artists a lot of times will be in for comic book fans kind of weird places. You'll find interviews of artists in skateboard magazines, in music magazines where they did posters and album art and things like that you never would have known.
Yeah.
But that's what some artists back in the late 70s and early 80s did to make ends meet, to fill the gaps between like what they were doing with comic books and stuff.
Yep.
And if you don't know enough about those creators, you don't realize that they had, particularly artists, they had 3 or 4 or 5 different lives going on all at the same time. And if you want to find out truly what the world was like for them, what they were like, you have to go to all these different sources, read all these different things, and then you can put together and get a better idea of who and what these artists were. And a lot of that, you would think, well, I'll say I would think that in our digital age that would be just easy to do.
Yeah.
But in a lot of ways it's more difficult, because word of mouth used to be such a major way of getting leads on where people have art, or where they have interviews or what have you. Well, now word of mouth is gone, because people don't mouth anymore. We don't talk to each other anymore. We read online. And so if you're reading something online and there's no mention made, you'll have no idea that, 5 years ago today, his last skateboard article came out where he was talking about artwork on a particular series of decks that he did for a company, surfboards, surf art on buildings in Southern California, and I'm always amused when I find something digitally that I think is so easy to connect the dot to something else, but no one ever has, in order for you to be able to track all this stuff down. You still have to rely on word of mouth. You have to email people that know these different things to tell you, and then you put them together. And I'm like, but it's so easy to make a repository or to drop a hyperlink or something. And that so frequently is just not done online nowadays.
Yeah. And, I think people still give Wikipedia crap, but that's ultimately what Wikipedia is supposed to be. And
it does it if you use that grain of salt.
Yeah. If you use it correctly, because you go down to the bottom and you have to start looking at all the references to
look
see
at the
where the information came from.
Exactly.
And read the source material yourself.
Yeah.
And because they got something out of an article and they put it on Wikipedia, maybe they misinterpreted the tone from the interview, right?
Or maybe they just got one little thing, because that's all they were looking for.
Yep.
But yet you have this 10-page article that has all these other things that you might find interesting, Yeah.
Yeah. But, with this Robert E. Howard biography I'm reading, I originally got a hardcover first. It was published in 2025. And I start reading it and I get 50 pages into it. And at that point, 50 pages into it, Robert E. Howard is born. Okay. So everything up to that point was like basically tracing his family across basically how his family, how his grandparents met, how his each set of great grandparents met, where they moved from, where they moved to, and then how his parents met, how they got to Texas, blah, 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 and all that stuff. And after about 50 pages of that, this other one came in and I started to read it instead. And I'm 50 pages into it. And Robert E. Howard's like 10 years old at this point. So it's reading a lot faster.
It's moving a little bit faster.
Yeah. The other one is probably something I will visit after, once I've absorbed all this information and I'm ready to get more molecular. But yeah, it's but one of the things that I'm running across, of course, is that a lot of when this guy is talking about Robert E. Howard's family, his parents and grandparents and whatnot, he talks about how a lot of the stuff, like on his mom's side, there's just not a lot. There's not a lot recorded.
Okay.
And so he's had to, and other biographers have basically had to go by what Robert E. Howard has written down in letters that he wrote to people over the years. And a lot of that feels like he's making more importance out of, like maybe great grandfather than maybe what great grandfather really was. And so you you got to take his stories with a grain of salt. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Cool.
Anything you got for me? Anything you want to banter about?
No, I don't read. I don't watch TV. I don't really do much of anything.
You read, you watch TV. No. I know you do.
Although I will say, one of the things that has prompted my thoughts on the creators and connecting the dots with all the various things that they have done. In the past 3 or 4 years, I've become a really, really big fan of this most recent crop of fanzines that you can find. There's probably 5 or 6 that are pretty prevalent. Now, most of them, I will say, deal with the indie cartoonists. I mean, like way indie, that probably the vast majority of people that you and I talk about as comic book fans would never remotely have heard of, because we're not in that part of the scene. But there are references that I enjoy, because there's connection to connection to connection. And, what I will do is, usually these fanzines I'll read right before I go to bed, and I'll read a page or two, and then I'll pick up my phone and look at some of the things that they've mentioned, other people, other books and magazines and stuff like that. So it's really going quite a ways into expanding my exposure, at the very least. Now, I will say that by and large, the deep indie cartoonists typically will art in a style that just does not appeal to me.
Yeah.
And the subject matter, a lot of times, of the stories they write are subject matter that doesn't appeal to me. So by and large, even though I now can say that I will have heard of a certain cartoonist, I have no interest in reading their stuff. Although I do have interest in knowing that they are putting stuff out and where they're putting stuff out, so that at the very least, at some point, if I know of somebody that says something, I honestly have somewhere that I can point them to and say, it sounds like this magazine or this creator may be what you're looking for, and just in an effort just to be helpful. So that's where a lot of my reading has gone, in zines. Notwithstanding this thing called Comics the Magazine that has started coming out, for anybody that has seen it, it's kind of positioned as a 2026 Wizard magazine. Yeah, it's not. It's got some pretty big names attached to it, that they use it as the mouthpiece for their stuff and for their interests and for what they like. And so it's very, in a way, it's very inclusive, not in a bad way, but just very particular to those people involved. So far, it seems to me, I believe they have 5 issues out. I have read 4. I haven't read the most recent.
I'm looking at their website right now.
Mm-hmm.
Issue 6 comes out in August 5th.
Okay. Yeah. I think it's monthly. I think it comes out monthly at this point. So, there has been some word about that, Comics the Magazine, because it is the closest thing to Wizard, for those of us that remember Wizard, that anybody has put out since Wizard went under.
Yeah.
But I still think it's a far cry from what Wizard was doing, although I will say that Wizard was as inclusive at the time as these guys are now. I'm not overly a fan of Wizard and what Wizard did either. They filled a niche at the time, and they filled the niche, I think, badly. And so a lot of people relied on them because of the niche they filled, rather than understanding what the people behind Wizard were attempting to really do with their magazine, which in rather broad strokes was a pretty significant disservice, I think, to several aspects of the comic community, collecting being one. Money, as always, is the guiding light for most anything like that. Yeah. Now, I will say a lot of the zines that I read, Comics the Magazine notwithstanding, of course, they don't want to lose their butt cheeks on making the product, but you can certainly tell by what they cover and the way they cover it that selling millions of issues and making bank is not what they're about. So right off the bat, it gives the feel of what you're digesting different. It feels different. So I think that's what I'm really appreciating, is that my interests have kind of turned from the new shiny, as Men in Black would call it, not necessarily to the old busted. That's me. I am the old and busted. But the new and shiny doesn't really get my eye. But we want to be seen too. People kind of are what's getting my eye now, and so much more, I'm sure, than anybody was interested in hearing. But that's, you asked and I told, and so.
Well, let me ask about these fanzines, because back in my day, fanzines were literally Xeroxed off copies of, typed copy paper that were folded in half and stapled.
Yes.
What are they like today? Are they still the same?
The zines are still out there. Yeah. You can go to most any comic book related convention and still find people that are making zines just like that. Yes. Okay. Now, there are some other, Bill in Long Island, I'm interested in that. Yeah, cool, Bill. There are, if you want to, emoorejr@gmail.com. Write that down. Email me. I can pop you some names of the bigger, more widely produced, as far as number of printings, zines that I have been able to find recently, and maybe if you're not familiar with them, that will lead you into something that you enjoy. Different printing techniques now. There's a big printing technique called lithograph that's been around, but it's cheaper to do, and it is very popular in certain groups. Now, though, you can find you still can get zines in the 2/3 size, like a digest size. Like if this is the full comic book size, they're like this big. And one called Comics Blogger is 30, 40, 50, 60 pages, just depending on how much he wanted to write.
Yeah.
Now, there are several other zines that are black. Now, all of these are typically black and white. There are others that I get that are full size.
Yeah.
And some that are saddle stitched, square edge bound. I mean, they're bigger publications, but to me, they still count as a fanzine, maybe not a zine. I in my mind, I reserve zine for the little 8.5 folded 4 times, or folded into 4 pieces, and it's a quarter size. That's a zine. A fanzine, of course, is just they are fans of something, whatever it is, and they make a cheapy kind of simple magazine, a zine, and to me, that's a fanzine. My definition is probably a little broader maybe than it should be, but I don't care because I enjoy what I enjoy. So
zines to me have always meant those small,
those little teeny one, or smaller, depending on what you want to do.
But
they're still out there.
All the print on demand services that are out there now. I was curious if some folks were using those to put out their fanzines that are more magazine type. Yeah.
But there are people, and I see zines all the time, that are truly the made it in my garage, old school kind of, that's the way it's always been kind of thing. Maybe they don't necessarily use a typewriter, right? They use a PC with Word for the pros, but they will get it and they will print it up, or they will print it out of their little jet matrix printer, burn the shit out of it to make 50 copies. And you get that is exactly what you get when you buy one of them. Now, I will say, I think nowadays those little teeny zines are quite a bit pricier than they used to be, but you can still find that punk do-it-yourself kind of mentality that kind of made zines desirable by those people that wanted that type of product. You can still find them. Yeah.
I've often thought of doing like because of some of those print on demand services, doing like a quarterly type of publication for subscribers to Steeven or Else Beyond. But every time I sit down to think about it, or I just like, I got other shit to do. Nah.
The biggest issue in my mind is with something like that is that for me, if I tell people I'm going to do it, then I am bound. Yeah. I cannot get out of it short of something happening. So there's always the weight of that on me that, oh man, I said I would do that.
Yeah.
I don't really want to do that now. I said I would do it. So, so
wow.
I get caught with the either not saying anything. And if you don't say anything, then nobody's going to know. Nobody's going to consume it. Right. So you want to tell people, but then when you tell people, you're binding yourself to doing it. And it turns into this whole thing.
That's why I haven't officially announced it. Bill from Long Island says a photocopy of a photocopy look has a certain charm.
And for those of us of a certain age that made, let's say, mixtapes that passed around VHS tapes, we know reproducing a reproduction. We know full well all about that kind of stuff. And so getting that in a print format is just another extension of how, as fans consuming a particular media, we grew up. Folks of a certain age. Now you can, I guess, download stuff digital, and I don't know if it really is the same, a copy of a copy. It's, so, but yeah, you're absolutely right, Bill. I don't know how many fandoms I relied on friends who had access to materials that I would get and I would make a copy of. And yeah.
I was trying to find, I have my dad gave me some stuff that I had up in storage and amongst it, because those, Bill from Long Island says the old school cut and paste with actual scissors and glue.
Zines. Yeah. Now that's a zine right there, boy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. But back in my band days, the first band I was in, the guy that the creative force behind the band, played bass, sang, wrote all the songs. He would do all the flyers for the shows, and he was kind of an artist. So amongst some of that stuff were some of the old flyers, and it was stuff that he had handwritten and cut out and pasted,
drawn, written, clip art for early computers, and
then gone to Kinko's and said, "Give me 100 of these on yellow."
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah,
it was fun seeing those.
That obviously still has to happen today for people starting out, because that's all you have to do. That's all you have to use. But we are so caught up in so much new and shiny that comes out at us all the time that I think we don't take the time to realize that it's out there and look for it, or we just miss it because we're just completely inundated with, like I say, all the new shiny latest kind of, but there are still 4 and 5 people musical groups that are trying to make it, and they're driving around in a van with old beat up amps and speakers, and they have a stack of paper flyers that they had printed somewhere. And if you see them and ask them, they'll whip one out and tell you it's got the time and date and place. And that still has to go on. We just don't see it anymore because we have all this other stuff in front of our face. Yeah.
All right.
What are we here to talk about?
Well, today we're looking at the second of 4 tales that appeared in Superman number 12. That was a good transition. This issue sports a cover date of September/October 1941, though it hit the stands in July. It sold for just 10 cents, and the story is entitled The Suicide Murders. Oh, we got a comment here from...
Yeah, read that, Steven. You'll appreciate that.
Now we need a punk band style poster featuring Steven and Ed floating heads advertising the podcast here. I'll see what I can do. I can't promise anything. I'm not that creative. Anyway, The Suicide Murders was written by Jerry Siegel with art by Leo Nowak. And here's what happened in the issue, in the story. 3 men are victims of apparent suicides, but Clark Kent believes they were murdered. After writing an article about it in the Daily Planet, gangsters try to kill Kent. He survives and learns that a gang leader known as the Boss is responsible for the murders. He covers the actions by making the deaths appear suicides or accidental. Superman stops the scheme and brings the Boss to justice. Ed, what did you think?
And for those of you that don't have access to Stephen's written word, know that boss is capital B.
Yes.
Not little as in the noun, but as in the name boss. Because although there's another name, and I think it's the same person that turns out to be the big boss, but boss is all we get for a little while. What do I think? I think that this story had 14 different named or indicated individuals throughout 13 pages, which is the most of any story that I can remember we had.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 definite names.
Yep.
So keeping up with who is who got to be very mathy, if we, it's kind of similar to a math equation, kind of keeping it. So it was quite the first half of the story was okay, but then it just it just went over the edge, and you had person, name, person. It just
devolved into a bunch of names that just after a while
you're like, who is he? Yeah. What? It doesn't matter. Just read to the end, and hopefully everything will clear up by then. Anyways.
Siobhan says, we've established that mathing is hard. Yes, it is.
Yeah, for those of you new in the listening to this particular episode, we two and Siobhan talked about math at the top of the show. And it's established mathing is hard, which kind of makes it a no, because we don't want hard. No pun intended. Anyways.
One of those names, though, was really hard for me to read in my head correctly. Daniel Steele. I kept reading as Danielle Steele.
So did I. Yeah. And I'm like, oh no, it's a he. It's a he. It's got to be Daniel. It shouldn't be Danielle. Yep. And I guess that's because of what the authoress is.
I think she was a romance.
Yeah. We've seen that name, Danielle Steele. And so when we see almost all those letters, our brain just finishes it out. Oh yeah, that's Daniel. I'm like, no, Daniel.
So don't be surprised if either of us as we're discussing this accidentally call him Daniel Steele.
Keep in mind that all three of the initial people that are found are all dudes. So whatever name we may give them, past that, and just remember that they're three businessmen, probably of different caliber. We never really find out, or I don't think we find out. But yeah, so other than that, it was pretty contemporary. Yet another Superman against the quote unquote mob, against the standard bad guy. It didn't involve World War II, which is starting to be kind of disappointing. It didn't necessarily have any major reoccurring kind of bad guy, which is really getting to be disappointing. Although I will say I looked ahead, and I believe we have the return of somebody in this issue of Superman.
Yeah, we do.
Just not this particular story. So
we talked about it in the last episode, because I went over the titles of different stories that are coming up, and one of them was The Beasts of Luther.
Now, unfortunately, that probably will get us to feel a certain kind of way, just to be disappointed for the next little while when it happens again. And
that kind of happened to me with this story, because when we get it, when you start going through it, we'll get into it more. But the opening, the first panel of every one of these stories, we've in-house have referred to it as a splash panel.
Right.
But it always has that narration that is a teaser of what's to come in the story. I have been using those lately. So like when I put the notes together for last month's episode, at the end, when I said next time, the suicide murders, I used that blurb.
Okay.
And so in that blurb, they don't call him the boss, but they refer to him as a super criminal of some sort. And so I was like, yes.
Finally. So, yeah.
They apparently super criminal meant something a little different back then.
And did you notice how short this opening narration was compared to
very short? Yes.
Yeah. It really was.
Very short.
So it's very short narration. The most characters probably we have seen in a story. I thought, well, that's an interesting combination of things there that whoever overviewed the story, that was the choices that were made to. Yeah. So
there were two moments when we get to the end. I'll go back to talk about the two moments that were my favorite moments in the story that actually made me laugh out loud each time. And they're both on the same page. So,
you'd think with that, spread that junk out.
Right. But with that said, you want to take us through this freaking issue? Or the story? Sir. I keep saying issue, but story?
Splash panel. Superman carrying a sedan flying across the city. At least three bad guys, maybe more, in the sedan that Superman is carrying. Superman is not jumping. He is not leaping. He is flying.
Flying in this issue, in this story.
Carrying the sedan. And the driver. Yeah, the driver of the sedan with a handgun is trying to shoot at Superman, which kind of you would see why somebody would do that. But then my thinking would be kind of, if you hit him and it really does damage him, what is going to happen to the fact that they are, it's like.
I didn't even think of that.
I don't know I understand the reflex, certainly. But, in retrospect, is that really a good idea to do? Or.
If you look at all the little puffs of smoke there.
Several green puffs, too. So who knows what else they're doing there.
Right. Savan says, my cursor's not working. Savan says, maybe the driver didn't think of that either. They obviously didn't.
No,
I'm going to assume that the driver has an automatic pistol because he's just really blam, 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 blam. Yeah. And these two guys in the back, I'm assuming one of them is going, hey, Fred, what's the end goal here? He's either going to take us to jail or we're going to crash fall and die.
What if you do hit him and it works? What you're trying to do works. What then? Yeah, so
that's funny. I can't. I didn't even think of that.
Oh, that's what I thought of automatically when I saw that. I'm like, what if you do shoot him? What
they are high up there. I mean, those huge. Those are big skyscrapers below them, and they look small.
Yep. Superman's flying them wherever, and I don't really think this corresponds to anything that happens in the story. Really,
not really.
There is a scene where Superman interacts with a car in one of the more amusing ways that they have been doing lately. But it doesn't result in this. So, and then, like I said, the narration, it was 3 lines, probably 24, 25, 30, maybe 30 words. And that was it.
It's one sentence.
Usually it's 3 or 4 times this amount of words in the narration panel. Yeah. So I don't know what happened, but the story starts. We get introed to the 3 men that have been found dead recently. Thomas Corday, who was found at the bottom of a great stairway, which I thought was an interesting description. Presumably fallen to his death, right? He fell down the stairs and who knows? He was drunk or high or whatever. Okay. And then there is Daniel Steele, who fell asleep while driving. And
did you do that on purpose?
Yes. Okay. Daniel Steele. Daniel. Crashed headfirst into a streetcar and was killed in the accident because he fell asleep at the wheel. And then there is Robert Starbuck, which I don't know if he's any relation to the coffee Starbucks or if this is a different Starbuck. Or who else? Did Battlestar Galactica Starbuck? I don't know.
Yeah, his ancestors went on to colonize space.
Yes, perhaps. Now, this one is found with a bullet through his brain. So that definitely looks like suicide. Of course, any of us that have seen any number of movies knows that a bullet to the brain being set up as suicide. Yeah,
pretty standard.
Yeah, there's many ways to do that, and it not be. But so it looks like all 3 men died in accidents. So the police are kind of, these men, I guess they weren't anything necessarily dirty to raise a flag or anything like that. Businessmen in Gotham City, or not Gotham City, in Metropolis. Now I will say here too, for some reason, when I was reading this, the panels, as you can see them, 1, 2 in the middle, and then the third one down here in the corner, this circle threw me off because I read panel, and then I read this little yellow narration, and I'm like, oh no, wait, that doesn't fit yet. So I must have to read this one over here in the lower left, and then come to the circle, which truly was my fault because there is a margin for this panel to show you that it's broken and it's not included or meant to be read. So just in my reading, I guess too quickly, I misread a portion of the panel. I can't blame it on the creators per se.
No,
I think that was more my mistake.
No, I did the exact same thing. And if you hadn't brought it up, I would have. Yeah. Looking at it now, knowing, it's obviously the last panel on the page. It's an interesting layout. We haven't seen anything like this before in a Superman comic that I recall. I really like the look of it. I like that round panel there. I think it's really neat. But because the caption in that round panel happens to, it doesn't exactly fit in that panel above it. It seems like it's part of the panel. Your eye is tricked for a moment into thinking it's part of that that panel there. And so, I did the same thing. And so when I read Daniel Steele falls asleep at the wheel, blah, 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 and then went straight from that, because that caption box ends with 3 dots. So typically you go to a caption box that starts with 3 dots, and sure enough, that's what that next. So yeah. Once I figured it out and reread it, it's like, oh, well, that makes perfect sense now.
So that was like you say, it was something interesting as far as the layout, because I don't believe it's really something that we've seen.
Yeah.
They haven't messed with too much so far. Square, rectangular panels, grid system, et cetera, et cetera.
Bill from Long Island says it would have been better to put the narration box at the bottom. So at the bottom circle. Yeah, I agree. I read something just recently because I actually was editing last month's episode yesterday. And in it, at one point, you just, as you're going through the issue, at one point you go, you know what? I have to say I'm a big fan of the 9-panel grid. And you start talking about it. And I didn't think of it at the time, but as I was editing it, I remembered that just within the last couple of weeks, which is probably why I didn't remember it at the time, because we recorded that in May.
Right.
But I ran across something that talked about not necessarily the 9-panel grid, but the 3-row format and how that was really prevalent at this time. And because it came from putting the newspaper strips when they would collect the newspaper.
Just lay them on a page. And So, and I think it's kind of a combination of, it's definitely what I have been used to reading all of these years, but also it's a very, no extra work kind of mechanic.
Yeah.
In Western society, we read left to right, top to bottom. And so as long as you stay with that, you don't have to think about that. You can think about what you're reading or think about the art or whatever. That is what I'm in favor of. If I have to think about where to go next, it kind of takes me out and I'm kind of working for it. And, I understand people play with that for various effects and whatnot. And but just a nice grid system.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of the grid too. One of the reasons is because when I started reading digital comics, I read them on my phone because I didn't have a tablet yet. And issues like this that are broken out in these grids, whether it's a 9-panel or a 6-panel or whatever, they're easier to read on your phone because you read them one panel at a time. And whether you're holding it landscape or vertically or whatever, they fit really well. And it's, it flows the way it's supposed to. Whereas if I'm reading like a Rob Liefeld book or a Todd McFarlane book or something, from the 90s, those don't always, you can't do those panel to panel as easily. So.
No panels, overlapping art, all these other kind of things, which if you can see the whole page or you can see the whole 2 pages, it looks awesome and it makes sense. But if you don't have access to all of it at one time, you're like, what the hell is this over here on the side? Is that something I need to know? Or is that,
Well, and that's the thing for a lot of those comics and modern comics, of course, they're put together because you're meant to see that full page.
Right.
That's how you're meant to see it.
When you open a comic book,
it's, a book like this Superman, it doesn't add or take away from the story, whether or not you're looking at the full page or looking at it panel by panel. Right. Whereas more modern stuff, because when there's just something about, you can understand the story better when you're looking at the full page, reading it than panel by panel.
All right. So after our little catch up of the three businessmen that have died, we are in the offices of Perry White. We see, is this Jimmy or is this just another dude? Maybe it's just another reporter dude. He's got a dotted bow tie. So.
Yeah, I meant to look it up because he reminds me of the kid that showed up in an earlier issue that, again, wasn't named, but history has decided that was Jimmy Olsen's
That was Jimmy.
Appearance.
Okay.
So you keep talking. I'm going to look this up on Mike's and see if it mentions.
So this whole page basically is dealing with the fact that Clark Kent has written a story about how these three occurrences involving these dead businessmen were not accidental as it looked, or even more importantly, as the police have reported it. Clark Kent is supposing that they were murders. All three of them were murders because he was at scene for all three and saw or intuited aspects of each situation, each crime scene that indicated to him that they were not just accidental or suicides, that they were murders perpetrated against these men. So at first, Lois brings that up kind of dismissively, but more importantly, Perry brings it up as the editor of the paper. And basically he's like, dog, are you sure this is what? And Clark Kent is, oh, absolutely. I can prove it. I know it, and so Perry is like, man, if you are wrong in saying these are murders, people are going to be coming at the paper, coming at me. They're going to come at you.
Yeah.
Is this really the kind of heat that you want? And Clark's like, well, sorry, boss, truth is truth. And I think these men were murdered. It's like, okay.
I had a problem with that because I would like to assume that if the editor of a major paper in a major city has an issue with a story or has questions with the validity of a story, he would have brought it up to the writer before he published it.
I was going to say he would pull it. It wouldn't be out yet. It would be are you sure you want me to publish this? Not, well, after I published it, I got to thinking that it's like, it's probably a little too late at that point. Dog. Wait, Isn't that your job is to make that decision one or the other? So,
by the way, I'm trying to find it real quick, but that, according to Mike's Amazing World of Comics, he has listed this as does have an appearance by Jimmy Olsen. So that's who I'm going to assume that is. It says that the last appearance of Jimmy Olsen was in Superman number 9. And I see there. I'm looking through Superman number 9 right now, and there is a kid with a bow tie on in one panel telling Clark that Perry wants to see him.
Yeah, something like that would have to be more fan service because you probably can't prove that that's Jimmy Olsen, but on the opposite side of that same coin, you probably cannot disprove that that's Jimmy. So it's like, let it be Jimmy Olsen, whatever.
Yeah, the character existed at this point. He was created for the radio show, so he's on the radio. The character's out there. I truly don't believe that Jerry Siegel said, I'm going to put Jimmy.
Right. Yeah. This is going to be Jimmy Olsen. I'm just not going to, it's like, no, if he just.
Exactly. Because if he's going to do that, if he's going to, hey, let's put in a character from the radio show, he would use their name.
Exactly. He would make that connection rather than just I'll put this here and let everybody pretend that. No, it's like, Jimmy Olsen walks in and asks, something to announce that that's what he's doing.
Yeah, but after reading the Superman Wars, one of the things I did learn is that Siegel was promised that he would have input on anything Superman. And so the radio show comes out. He didn't know it was happening. They didn't invite. Basically DC just said, "Hey, here we're going to sell the rights to you to make this radio show." And so when he found out it was happening, he was like, let me write some scripts. He may have written one or two. I can't remember that. But yeah, stuff like that. The movie, movie serial,
the
Fleischer cartoons. He really enjoyed that stuff, but he'd also see it and just get freaking angry because he wasn't making any money off of it and he didn't have any input.
They didn't consult him. Not that it was bad, but that they didn't do what they said they would. Oh, I can't imagine why anybody would get upset about the fact that they were lied to, just to put a fine point on it. Yeah. So it's bad enough that, Lois is questioning Clark. Is this really what you mean? Oh, now the editor of his paper, his boss, is questioning it a little bit more forcefully, 1, 2, 3, 4 panels as opposed to Lois's 1 panel. But now Sergeant Casey calls Clark, having read the article, and is like, that I did, you crazy loon. What's the idea of printing that article? So Casey is like all about, but every word is the truth. I'll soon I'll be able to prove it to you, which is what Clark is saying. And I'm thinking, well, shouldn't you have the proof before you?
Yeah.
It's okay.
Again, that's the editor's job. You're supposed to, I'm not into.
Can I see what you're basing this on?
Yeah.
That's all. Not necessarily your proof, but run me through this. What have you seen? What have you heard? And then tell me what you make of that information. Do you in modern parlance, Clark Kent is the AI. You have been fed this information. I see what the output is, but now give me the information that you use to get to that output. And before it's published.
Exactly. And whether or not, regardless of how passionate he may feel that it is the truth and that he will prove it, the article itself shouldn't be these guys were murdered. It's, I believe they were murdered. Here's why I feel that more articles will come.
Perhaps these men were potentially murdered because this and this aspect of this one, this and this aspect of this one. Yeah. So, so you're going to prove it. Well, let me tell you this. This is Sergeant Casey. Either retract that story or I'll make it plenty hot for you. End of conversation. Clark Kent and Perry. Perry, well, what did he have to say? Clark, enough to make me realize that unless I can dig up prompt confirmation for my claims, you'll have to forward my fan mail to me, care of the city jail. I thought Clark Kent was good at his job, but this is like...
This is like an exercise in how not to run a newspaper.
What you're not supposed to do. Yeah, wow, yeah. And here's another in this next panel, first panel, next page, another Jimmy Olsen scene here.
Yeah. Apparently his job is just to tell Clark and Lois that Perry wants to see them or that somebody's there to see them. Because when I looked at his appearance in issue 9, that's what he's doing. And I think that's what he's doing in his first quote unquote.
Well, and he hasn't moved up to photog yet. He's still lower on the totem pole. Yeah. So it's, the Jimmy we know becomes a photographer. And so that's like, and I think even to this day, maybe he is still a photographer. I don't know what his position is. Yeah.
He won a Pulitzer
for his photogness.
Yeah. His Death of Superman photo.
All right. Somebody's here to see him. Somebody named Starbuck. And if, as a reader of the story, you remember back to the very first page, there was a Robert Starbuck that was found deceased. I forget which of the 3 ways, but he's one of the dead men. Clark has supposed that he was murdered. Eugene Starbuck is here to confront him about the fact that, well, they are saying that he committed suicide, which is one thing. If he is murdered, prove it to me, because as a family member that, I need to know that, yada, yada. It starts out okay, but then the dude gets a little too pushy for facts. In the parlance of the current wrestling promotion, AEW, this is particularly for you fans that are out there. Starbuck is wanting to know how you know. And those that have been watching AEW will instantly get that. It's one of the best things going right now. So push to no avail. Right after that, it turns out that, or no, let's see. No, this is a different, okay, this is another reporter here, right? In the
guy with the papers,
the guy in the purple, not the boy in the purple, which is Jimmy,
with the little pencil mustache.
Yeah.
He's apparently a member of the bullpen. We don't get his name. This is the only time we've ever seen him.
Yeah, he's watched this argument between Clark and Starbuck, and he's reflecting on it, and Lois is reflecting on his reflecting.
They're talking smack on Clark, basically.
I'm not sure exactly why the panel was there. I didn't think it needed to be there because Clark and Starbuck go on outside to finish their conversation.
They're going to lunch.
When they get out on the street, Starbuck pushes Clark into traffic, and we have a couple panel segment here of where Clark is doing acrobatics to avoid the onrushing traffic. All the while, we found out Starbuck apparently just shoved him into traffic and then just took off. He didn't wait to see if it worked.
Yeah,
he just shoved him and ran, because when Clark has a chance and gets his wits about him, Starbuck is nowhere to be found. So,
but I love this second panel on this page 4 with Clark breakdancing.
He is something. A couple cars here. Yeah. All he needs is a big piece of cardboard there on the ground, and
But I like how they describe this, because basically he's pushed into traffic. Cars are coming at him from each direction, and it says Clark goes through a series of remarkable gyrations. Apparently, it says the narration actually says apparently, which cracks me up for some reason. It's like even the narration is like, well, I guess he's doing this.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing.
Apparently, he is twisting in terror on the street, accidentally missing each of the skidding cars in turn, but actually he is dodging them through super speed. So he's like, and the cars are zooming by.
He's breakdancing, but really what he's doing, he's moving so fast, and we're only catching 1 out of every 10 moves or whatever. He's locking there, it looks like. So he gathers his wits and he goes back inside, saying, I guess to us more than anything else, Eugene, was that the guy's name? Yeah, Eugene. Eugene deliberately shoved me before that car so that I'd be killed and unable to offer further evidence. So now, that adds fuel to these men were murdered fire, because somebody comes in, another person comes in, questioning, and in an effort to whatever in relation to the questioning, he actually tries to kill Kent by shoving him out into Metropolis traffic, which I'm kind of surprised would be that bad in the early 40s. So he goes back upstairs. How did your little tete-a-tete turn out? I like that word, tete-a-tete.
Yeah.
Lois asks. Let me get at that telephone booth, Clark says. So he doesn't even, he's wanting to touch base with something, thinking about what just happened, and he wants to continue that thought before something changes or before his mind goes to other things or whatever. He picks up the phone and calls the Starbuck residence. Now, this is where Robert Starbuck, it is his residence.
Yeah.
Clark speaks to Robert's widow, I would assume at this point, or Starbuck's mother. But either way, it's a female that has close enough knowledge of the Starbuck family, because Clint asks about this Eugene Starbuck and is told, ain't none.
It's his widow. She says, my husband never had a
brother. Okay. Yeah, so never had a brother. So because that's what he positioned as is Starbuck's brother. And so, maybe this will help Clark feel more secure that it was, at least one was a murder. And if one was, and all three occurred in close proximity, you start to question definitively that the other two were murders as well. Then it becomes, why were all three men killed, et cetera, et cetera. Which I will say, finding out why all three men were killed was kind of weak sauce at the end of the story, I thought. But then this fellow who claimed he was Starbuck's brother was a phony. And he runs out of the phone booth. I thought they had phones on their desks now, but this is still the old phone booth with the hanging thing that you put up to your ear and everything. So He rushes out of the phone booth and is confronted by yet another bullpen member.
I think it's Jimmy.
Okay, because of the blonde hair? Could be.
Yeah.
They didn't color his suit purple, though, so it's throwing me off. Burton Steele is here to see you. Says he's a cousin of Daniel Steele. Huh.
Here.
Lead him in.
I'm gonna read this a different way.
Okay.
Burton Steele is here to see you. Says he's a cousin of Danielle Steele. The author?
Yeah, really. She want me in her latest book?
Am I posing for the cover?
No, that's
Clark Kent, male model.
Fabio? Was that his name? Fabio, with the blonde locks. Yeah. Oh, I haven't thought about him in years. Okay.
Right.
Anyways. So you're Burton Steele, Daniel's cousin, eh? There's your favorite affectation, eh? That's right. And I've come here to demand whatever information you may possess regarding the murder of my cousin. I'm like, dog, if I'm Clark, I'm like, dude, this is not working. So, you leave my office, read the articles. Just
Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you.
No. So Clark checks out, sees that he's got false makeup on to look like someone else. He rushes up to him, grabs him by the scruff of the collar of his jacket. Perp marches him out into the bullpen to tell everybody that this dude's a fake. And to show that, he rips the dude's false beard off, which I'm like, well, so he had a fake beard. Now, the dude gives, I thought, a plausible story.
Yeah.
Well, you stupid fool, I am Burton Steele because I'm an actor. That's why I'm appearing at the Acme Theater and slipped over here between performances. And he holds out a theater bill as proof that this is me and this is why I look this way. Yeah, okay. A likely story. Then why did you come here disguised, Clark? Because he's giving his excuses. One of the bullpen members says, that's right. I saw his show the other day. Accept my apologies, Clark says. You'll be fortunate if I don't sue you for assault and battery, says Steele. And then takes
Clark's
off.
really going off the rails in this issue. This story. This is one of the reasons I like this, because he, so far, 5 pages in, no sign of Superman. It's been all Clark. And he's doing things in front of Lois that are not, he's not acting the cowardly Clark.
And also, though, it's not Clark at his best either.
Right. He's making bad mistakes.
He's being took right and left and then having to backpedal and it's like, yeah.
But he's almost like he's very focused. He's got, he's just moving forward, and anything that gets in his way, he's knocking it aside, whether it's right or wrong. Right. We've seen a Superman like this. We haven't seen a Clark like this.
We're seeing that he is being, in my mind, much more human than normal or a regular average human than perhaps we have seen in a while, making mistakes, making assumptions, things of that nature, which is things that we would do presumably as the reader, just a regular human being.
With this, when he grabs the guy because he sees that he's wearing a false beard, and Lois is like, "Let him go, Clark." That part really got me, because it's like he's acted the coward so much that he's not. I feel like she's really worried that he's got a screw loose or something, that he's going to hurt this guy.
Well, you'd think it would make her kind of excited that this man that she's, had a thing for, now he's being all manly and,
Yeah, they should have put a little thought bubble after it that's like, let go of him, Clark, you manly hunk of a man.
Something, it's like, come on, give the man his props, girl. I mean, this is what you've wanted. But yeah. So now the scene is just our newspaper people, Lois and Perry and Clark, having a conversation. Lois asks him, are you satisfied now that you've made a sap out of yourself? Clark says, but anyone could have made the same mistake. Yeah, no. And Perry says, you better stick to routine stuff, Clark, and keep away from anything that requires more than common sense.
Damn.
And then we have an interesting, I think, panel here because it's a camera angle behind Clark, and it's lit from behind because his shadow is on the wall and his glasses are at such an angle. He's holding his head at an angle that the light goes through the lens of the glasses and makes a shadow of it on the shadow of his face on the wall also. So it's somebody took the effort to not just make a blobby shadow, but to try to make his head and face and the eyeglass all in the shadow. So
yeah, it's really cool.
And he's thinking to himself, I've certainly muffed everything. I didn't know that's what muff is. Anyways, I've certainly muffed everything this far. Wherever that criminal, why are you making a face?
I don't know.
Okay. That's, the criminal mastermind is, if he could know of my blunders, he'd be enjoying a good laugh at my expense right now. So Clark is afraid that maybe he's losing face because these suppositions that he has presented perhaps are falling through.
Yeah.
Although, the fact that 2 of the 3 dead people had a representative come back to back on the same day to his office about the article, which just came out that morning. It's like, that's all pretty, it's circumstantial, it's happenstance, but boy, it's all of a sudden, all at one time kind of stuff, so I would think a grieving family after a day or 2, then they would say, hey, we read your article, and it would spread out. Not 2 of the 3 within minutes of each other on the same day that the article comes out. Yeah, that's too much, I think. Okay. We go to the office of Malford and Bryson. And those are, and let me just catch everyone up. Okay. The names that we have had so far are Clark Kent, Lois Lane, Perry White. I did not include Jimmy Olsen. He's not named.
They didn't use his name. Yeah.
Sergeant Casey. Okay. Now, at the very beginning of the story, we had Thomas Corday, Daniel Steele, and Robert Starbuck. We also had members of the family come in, Burton Steele and Eugene Starbuck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Now we have Malford and Bryson, which brings us to 11 of the 14. And here, this is what, the 7th page, 6th page, 7th. Yeah. Not even halfway through the story yet. So, okay. So we have these two dudes. One of them, we are told right away, is the Bryson of the office of Malford and Bryson. I guess you could assume the other is Malford. I don't see right away that is.
Yeah, they don't say his name, I don't think, but he refers to Bryson as, I never
my own partner.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Malford and Bryson is the name of the firm, and presumably this is Malford speaking to Bryson, who is asking for, or apparently Bryson has misappropriated $25,000, which in 1941 is a big piece of money. That's much money. And he says, "I'm sorry, my gambling debts were driving me." I would be like, okay, yeah, we're ending this. This is it. I'm not giving you another chance or not. You're out. Whatever it has, I have to do. You're out. You're off the name. Because if the dude just freely admits that he gambles and he gets in trouble, and it's like, no. So, anyways, Malford goes on. You certainly will replace it by tomorrow morning. By tomorrow, but that doesn't give me enough time. How could I ever hope to raise that much money so soon? And of course, the answer is, that's your concern. You got yourself into this mess. Now get yourself out of it. Understand? $25,000 by tomorrow morning, or you go to prison. Embezzling money. It's
$25,000 in 1941 is worth almost $600,000 today.
A pretty piece of money, enough to buy a very, very nice house in most locations in the country.
Oh yeah.
So that's the kind of money. Now, in many locations in the country, that wouldn't even scratch what it costs to buy a house. I get that too, but I wouldn't want to live there anyways. $600,000 sounds like plenty for a house for me.
Yep.
Okay, so he wanders. Bryson. Right? Yeah. Bryson wanders down into the streets, going over his head. Oh man, to find $25,000. What am I going to do? And there's some toughs out here that immediately set eyes on him. And one says, "That's him. Get going." And they scoop him up and throw him into a car. What are you going to do with me? Is this robbery? Has Malford hired you to kill me in vengeance? What? He just told you to get the money. Why would he have these guys kill you? Which kind of means that he's not going to get his money back. Exactly. Now, tomorrow morning at this time, when you have it made over with the 25,000, yes, this may be what happens. But now, no. Quiet. You'll learn in time. Which is something I noticed happens several times from this point to the end of the story.
Yeah.
Somebody will ask a question and they will be told, oh, just wait a minute. You'll find out, in various different ways, which I think is a funny way in that situation to handle that question by somebody that you are kidnapping or coercing into doing something or something like that. Yeah. What do you want me to do? Well, just be quiet and we'll tell you.
You'll find out later.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. And it just happens like 2 or 3 times here in several scenes coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens right again on the very next page. And it makes me feel like what they're really saying is, we're not ready to tell the audience yet. So you're just going to have to be patient.
Keep reading. We'll tell you, but not yet. Yeah, that's the point of view is the person that has been kidnapped. That's our point of view. So sometime later, in there, but stop blubbering, get moving. So they shove him in, and sure enough, he is in front of Bryson, his partner. Yeah. So
Bryson is in front of the boss.
Oh no, I'm sorry, Bryson. Yeah, here he is, boss Bryson. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, and it's like I noted at the top of the show, capital B, boss. That's what everybody calls him. If you're thinking of holding me for ransom, you'll soon learn what I'm thinking. Meanwhile, sit down. See, here it is again. So Bryson has been kidnapped, he's been escorted to speak to the boss. Now, yeah, why? Given the rest of the story, what has occurred and what we've been told has occurred, why is this inserted in the story now in regards to this one little particular thing? So now we're starting to see the full story start being fleshed out.
Yeah.
Now, as I understand your situation, unless you can dig up $25,000 by morning, your name will be disgraced. You'll be sent to prison, a prospect you certainly don't relish. That's the boss talking to Bryson, which Bryson just came from the conversation where he was told that.
Yeah.
Scooped up by some bad dudes on the street, driven somewhere, and the dude talking to him basically has the same information that he was just given. How did he get that information? I don't know.
See, this is where because I'm still thinking at this point as I'm reading this, I'm like, okay, super criminal. When are we going to see this? And right. I'm thinking, well, maybe this guy can pick out thoughts.
Okay.
Maybe, but no.
He's telepathic or something like that. Yeah. It's like,
no, we don't know how he finds out. He must just have people all over the place.
I guess. But it was just a private conversation between the two.
Yeah. I don't know.
So unless the dude's partner told, there was nobody else there to, yeah. How do you know? There are a lot of things I know, Bryson. Things I make it my business to find out. For you see, I'm going to help you. For you see, I'm going to help you. How very magnanimous.
Yeah, what a nice guy.
Seems to me that your problem would be solved if your partner Malford were to be liquidated.
Ew.
You would then be the sole owner of a thriving business, and the threat of jail would be a thing of the past. But that would be murder. And so it would, but a profitable murder. Profitable murder. For both of us, my proposition is as follows. Bryson, I remove Malford so that no suspicion of murder appears, and at the earliest opportunity, which is an interesting time frame, you pay me $10,000. So he owes $25,000 to the dude, or this dude will kill the dude he owes $25,000 to, and he only owes him $10,000.
And he'll be able to access the $10,000 if he's in control of the company now.
The only business owner. Yeah. So it certainly sounds like a solid way out, provided this dude didn't give anything away to anybody else. I mean, you don't know if you can trust him, but on the surface, it doesn't sound too bad. I don't know what to say. Then I'll make up your mind for you, Bryson. Malford dies. Then once the business is in your control, you pay me my fee. Agreed. I've no alternative. It's agreed, and of course, the boss knew this was going to be the case because he's sitting back with a cigarette in his mouth and he's lighting it with a match. He's like, just waiting for it. It would have been more effective, I think, if it had been a pipe.
Right.
But yeah. So now you're showing some sense. Cheer up, Bryson. Malford will be removed swiftly, expertly, and with his passing, your troubles will disappear.
Yay!
Except that you're involved in murder, and you now owe this dude $10,000. That's yeah. So there. Now, of course, there is no direct connection, but so this dude, the boss, makes money off of murdering people. We have 3 people at the beginning of the story that Clark Kent thinks was murdered, and they were all businessmen. 2 of the businessmen get have family members, quote unquote, contact and confront Clark about the fact that he says they were murdered and it wasn't accidental. So this dude just said that he didn't say anything about making it look accidental as far as the business partner. He just said he would murder him and that it would not, no suspicion of murder appear. So I guess that automatically means accident or suicide. I guess that's the only options. So
that's his thing. Yeah. He will murder, but he always makes it look like either an accident or suicide. Savon says, in my head, I keep hearing Pete, the boss, Ross. Is that just me? I have not, but I probably will from now on.
It will change now. Yeah.
Pete Ross, which was Clark's best friend.
A friend here a little bit later on.
Yeah.
I think when we start dealing with Smallville a little bit more, I think Pete Ross was from the Smallville side of Superman.
He was Clark's best friend growing up in Smallville.
So,
3 glad to help, Savon says.
Thank you. 3 murders, not 3 murders, 3 suspicious deaths. Another one that we have just seen a connection for, where 2 businessmen and then a 3rd businessman contacts one in a quote unquote murder for hire. We have these 3 already. So the quick connection is that these men must have been murdered for the same reason. Somebody benefited by their murder and then monetarily rewarded boss for taking care of them.
Yeah.
Now, better than halfway through the story, we have the first appearance of the titled character of the comic book.
Page 8. Let me back up real quick here to Savon saying Pete the boss Ross. When I hear the boss, I'm going, Bruce.
Born in the USA. I was born. One of the most unsinging singers I think that has ever been made famous.
Yep.
The man does not. I can't necessarily say that he cannot, but he does not sing. He does not.
Some people like him. Some people love him.
I'm
not a Bruce.
I'm not saying there's no reason to like him. I'm just saying he is not a singer. He intones at various ways the lyrics of he's a storyteller is what he is.
Yeah.
Typically,
Savon says that's such a good description. I'm assuming she's talking about Bruce Springsteen not being a singer,
a non-singing singer. He's dude's made bank on it. So
Oh hell yeah. He may even be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame by this point.
He may be.
Yeah, wouldn't be.
I don't follow it closely, so I don't know if he's.
Once they finally inducted Kiss, it's like, all right, Savon says yes, exactly. That was Bruce Springsteen. But they finally inducted Kiss. It took them forever to induct Kiss. It was a crime against rock and roll. Everybody agreed. But now that they've done it,
they got in. I mean, come on.
Yeah, eventually.
Well, you can only do so many a year.
Well, but they should have gone in like back in the 80s or 90s, but they didn't until almost 20.
So it doesn't matter that they're inducted. It matters when they were inducted.
Yeah, because every year.
Oh, okay.
They would release the nominees, and somebody, and it was always somebody in the music industry, would be like, "When are you going to nominate? When are you going to include Kiss?" You know, other musicians would be like, "They're not my cup of tea," but they
They are
they're Kiss.
they are pretty important. Sure. Yeah. You don't have to like the music to know how important they are to music in this country. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know anything about the who. Yeah. Knights in Satan's Service in the 1980s. So, I couldn't listen to them coming from a Christian family. So, yeah.
Well,
I don't know anything about the nomination process or who votes or, I don't know. I would imagine, like anything else, there probably is a percentage of politicking that is why certain acts have appeared on ballots when they did, as opposed to other ballots. So, what that would be, I don't know. Now I would say in order to do anything, you really have to kiss Trump's ass. Otherwise, he's gonna axe anything that you try to do. So for the next couple of years, I'll say if you weren't on any ballot, it's because Trump didn't like you. So yeah. And I won't apologize for any of you that may have been offended by me talking disparagingly of Trump. And ICE, you can come and kiss my ass and show up at my house if you want to. That's fine.
If what Ed said about our president and about ICE offends you, we don't want you listening. Fuck off.
So there we go. Okay. Superman appears. He's putting his Clark clothes off to the side here. He is going to, let's see. Within his apartment, Clark Kent sheds his civilian garments, standing exposed in the colorful Superman costume. Only one way to show that there really is a cold-blooded killer behind these seemingly accidental deaths. That's to venture forth and prove it as he dives out the window, because he can't fly. So he's plummeting to the street.
Yeah, because it doesn't look to me like he's diving. It looks to me like he literally just falling out the window.
Yeah, just fell out the window. Just Okay, so we come up to a couple of ne'er-do-wells in a car here. Meanwhile, hurry before Malford emerges from his office. So here we are. We're at the offices of Malford and Bryson. I'll have the brake rod disconnected in a jiffy. So here we go. The boss has sent 2 men to get rid of Malford, and they're messing with the brakes on the car. Is there any other way to kill somebody? Yeah. Anyways, so they have jimmied the brakes to where they're not going to work. So of course Malford gets in the car, and he lives in the only mountainous region near Metropolis. That's where his house is.
And he happens to take a route that does not involve him to. He doesn't have to use his brakes at all until he gets to the steep mountain roads.
Right. Doesn't notice.
Yeah. Lucky.
So he gets going down the mountain, and of course he realizes not only that the brakes are out, but as a large truck comes around a curve on the incline, Malford jabs frantically at the brake pedal, but in vain. A crash appears certain. That, to me, is very good descriptive narration. Yeah. That tells me everything I need to know. If there was no artwork, which the art really doesn't show what that narration says, but you can just hear the thump, thump, thump as somebody's hitting the brake all the way to the floorboard. Dum, dum. Yeah. I was like, okay, I feel that. In the sky above, a keen-eyed, streaking figure. Streaking? Yeah.
Whoa.
Does that mean that this is the streak? No,
he's wearing his costume.
Boogity. He likes to show off his physique. A keen-eyed, streaking figure sights the tense scene below. A car out of control. So I guess Superman was, I don't know, just on patrol, and he saw a car going too fast for going downhill. So there must be a problem. Yeah. A lot of stuff happening all at once in Superman. Although we have seen that Clark is just full of assumptions in this story. So Superman assuming something, it just follows suit. And this top panel here in the upper left-hand corner, Superman is flying. That is the only way to pull off that particular maneuver.
Yeah. I looked at that panel and I thought, if they hadn't already, if history hadn't already said Superman officially started flying in Superman number 10 because of the way he was floating, this would have been the issue that they said, this is where he starts flying.
It has.
There's no question.
He turns 90 degrees. And first of all, you're not going to be able to turn 90 degrees if you're jumping up and down or whatever. Yeah.
Even if you run out of momentum, you're not going to just go whoop, boop. No. It's not a cartoon.
Physics is hard too. Okay. But physics does have certain rules and laws that are pretty easy to understand, really. And this is not. Yeah.
Yeah. I think from this point on, we can just say
he flew out the window. He flew to get him. He flew. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think this panel to me proves that the artists at this point are like, well, he flies in the cartoon. He flies on the show.
Right. Yeah. And for those of you that can't see this, you're listening audio or you don't have access to the book, Superman's motion lines do a 90-degree turn. He's coming into the panel horizontally and he turns 90 degrees and starts moving towards the bottom of the panel. And so I was thinking that physics is hard. Physicsing is it's
a hard word. Yeah, Savon. I was thinking that physicsing is hard. Saying the word physicsing is hard.
It's hard. Yeah. I have a degree in biology and I have a degree in geology. And I took 2 semesters of physics when I was pursuing both of those degrees. And I got D's in both. Partially because I'm lazy. I'm not necessarily that dumb, but it was not worth putting all the work into physics to get more than a D because that's all I needed to pass. So I can't say that I have a firm understanding of physics, and I do have proof that it is hard because I got 8 hours of D in physics.
Savon says, I have a BA in physics, so I would know.
You would definitely know. You can attest to how hard physicsing is. Absolutely.
I know that BA stands for Bachelor of Arts, but I
or
like to pretend.
BSc. Well, BA is a Bachelor of Arts over here in the U.S. BSc is a Bachelor of Science, which I don't know if we do here or if that is more the British designation, the English designation for degrees. I've seen it, but usually it's a BA. Well, it's a BS over here, Bachelors of Science, and it's just BS or BA. So just like the Master's is an MA or an MS, depending arts or science.
See, now I like to think, though, that BA stands for badass. So I would read her comment is, I have a badass.
She's a badass in physics. Why not? If you have a bachelor's in physics, you can claim badass. That's fine. Yeah. All right, folks. Thanks for hanging in there with us. So Superman goes down and he rescues this car, but he rescues it in such a way that he kind of flips it to the side to get away from the impending collision with the truck coming up the hill. But he does so in such a manner that he just flips the car right off the edge of the mountain. Now, I don't know if that is necessarily what he intended to do or if it was kind of a overreaction of his. But in the one panel, we see the car zooming off the edge perpendicular to the road surface. We see a little cape here showing Superman. In the next panel, he has reached out and now grabbed the bumper of this flying car, which today would not work because that puppy would come clean off the frame.
Yep.
There is no connection between the bumper and the vehicle nowadays.
He'd just be standing there holding a
bumper
while the car plummets.
Which would be a funny scene. But anyway, that's the first thing I'm like, oh, you couldn't do that with today's cars. That would not work. So grabs it by the bumper. Now, I guess he swings it back around and puts it on the road and does this thing that I still do not believe is possible for Superman to do. While the car is moving, it presumably has continued to move downhill. He put it in the right direction. He slides under the car while it's moving. I can't believe for a moment that there is enough room for him but
it's one of his superpowers.
I guess so. Flat man. He can, or Wonder Man, Doorman. He does a doorman kind of thing, which Doorman was pretty amusing too. Although I think spending a whole episode on Doorman was a bit much. But
I don't know what you're talking about.
You haven't seen Wonder Man? I thought you'd seen Wonder Man.
Oh, I did, but it's been a while. I don't remember.
Doorman was
the okay. Yeah, all right.
He was the reason why
yes,
characters or movie or Hollywood people could not have superpowers because which Westlake Avenger Doorman spoofy. So Superman gets under the car and I don't know. It says a single glance acquaints him with the cause of the truck. Is that why he went under the car to see what was wrong
I
with it? Or,
guess.
I don't know. But he sees that the brake has been busted. Now Malford finally succeeds in halting the car, the narrator tells us. Superman fixed the brakes. That's obviously how Malford was able to stop the car. Malford, the brakes seem all right now. Shoo, the only thing that saved me from death was sheer luck. So he never saw Super come down, scoot him away from hitting the truck, grab the car, put it back on the road. Yeah, okay.
That's at least the second time that's happened. That a car has been out of control, that Superman has flown under the car, fixed something, and then left, and the driver had no idea, only that the car was about to go crazy, and then and then they're like, "Wow, that was lucky."
It wasn't working, and now it is. They don't know anything in between.
But
and Superman here has his flying stance too. This is the flying pose.
Exactly. Yep. But I love how, though, because the guy says, the brakes seem all right. Like you said, the only thing that saved me from death was sheer luck. And as Superman's flying away, he obviously heard that, because he says to himself, sheer luck, that's debatable.
Yep. And so is the manner in which the brake rod was disconnected. So more proof to Superman that something is going on overall, and it's not just a bunch of accidental happenstances that have killed these men previously.
Yeah. But that moment where he says that, sheer luck, that's debatable, I found that funny. That's not my laugh out loud moment, but Jerry Siegel tried to make Superman humorous. Jerry Siegel believed that one of his strengths in writing was humor, and that wasn't always the case, but he just really believed he was a funny guy. And so that's why Superman is quippy, because he's trying to insert these moments of humor. I think he really nails it in this issue, though, because that was funny. And then there's another panel that's coming up in the next couple pages that just had me cracking up out loud.
Okay. Next morning, he's still alive. No, I failed to raise the money, then arrest that man. So this is the confrontation between Malford and Bryson. Malford is supposed to be dead in the car accident, but there wasn't a car accident. So Bryson went to talk to him.
That panel, because it's the thought bubble's pointing at Bryson. Why would Bryson be saying he's still alive? Because then he says, no, I failed to raise the money. Oh, no. Okay. I'm sorry. I got it backwards. Bryson was
right. Okay. Right. Yeah. Bryson was the one that stole the money.
Delete that.
Malford was the one that caught him. Yeah. Okay. So now, one of the henchmen goes back to the boss to report, and the boss sees that Malford is not dead. So the henchman did not do what he was supposed to, and now Bryson is not going to give the boss any money because Malford is not dead. And the boss gets pissed at him and just kills him, just shoots him.
When I told you I wanted that brake rod disconnected, I meant it. But I did, I swear. Don't lie. Blam, shoots him.
That's it.
That's a ruthless dude.
And another henchman comes in, and we find out that this henchman was named Chips. So there's another name for us. Just because he made a little mistake. Why? Because I can't afford to slip up on important jobs. It's bad for my reputation and my pocketbook. I fear I must forget about Bryson and look for a new client. So here, definitely, we are seeing more connections over the potential for these three businessmen to have been murdered and who would be behind it and why. Even though we still don't have any definitive links between the two, we see that something else is going on. We see an example of it, and then we have examples of the end product at the top of the story. And we're being asked by the storyteller to make the connections, to assume, though we know what assuming does, that it is the same person for the same reasons. These were just other examples. But where will you find this client? Right here in this newspaper. Former multimillionaire Max Binder another name, is going bankrupt. So the boss sneaks into Binder's house now at the bottom row here, just as Binder is in such bad financial straits that he's about to kill himself. The boss shoots the gun out of his hand because he's literally right there about to kill himself, and presents him with a rather interesting opportunity here. Who are you? Well, that's unimportant. What does count is that you possess a large insurance policy. If you were to die an accidental death rather than perish through suicide, your family would receive enough to give them security. So the point is, you're going to be dead anyways. It's not going to matter. But your family, with my way, will be better off. So even in your dying, again, which is going to happen either way, it doesn't matter, your family will be better off if you die my way. You propose to kill me and make it look like an accident? Aha! There is a direct connection between the original three people. That's right. No doubt you've a few thousand left. Turn them over to me. You'll suffer an unfortunate accident, enabling your family to secure the benefits of that policy. So if there's one thing all of us know pretty much from media about insurance, is that if it looks like an accident, you don't get, or if it looks like intentional murder or suicide, you don't get paid.
Yeah.
Only if it's accidental do you get money from your insurance. I mean, that many of us, that's the only true thing we know about insurance anymore, how it works. So keep that in. No, don't keep that in mind. That's a joke. Okay. Perry is talking to Clark here. He says, call on Max Binder, Clark, and dig up some pointers on how it feels to lose a few millions, which if 25 was 600,000 equivalent, a few million has got to be like double-digit millions nowadays. So Clark tells him, I'm sure the Daily Planet readers will find the information very applicable to their daily lives. I like that word too, applicable. So Clark goes to talk to Binder, the millionaire that is losing money. What did I think of my life? Not much. I would have been much happier had I never been born. And Clark thinks he speaks of his life in the past tense, and there's a disturbing air about him. So he goes outside the mansion, interview's over. Clark switches to Superman. I have a hunch I'd better keep Binder under surveillance for his own good. As Superman watches Binder walks out upon a balcony, it begins to give way. So somebody has sabotaged the balcony. Binder walks out. The balcony collapses. Superman saves him. In the moment that the balcony crumbled, I saw that the supports had been deliberately and cunningly sabotaged. What explanation have you? Superman asks Binder, which is interesting because by all appearances, Binder walked out onto his balcony and it collapsed. And automatically Superman is saying, well, the balcony looks suspicious. What do you know about it? It's like, dude, for all you know, he just walked out there and it collapsed underneath him. Yeah. Why would he know anything about it?
Blaming the victim.
Yeah. Which I learned on SVU. You're not supposed to.
Now we know, of course, that he's not a victim, but it's Superman doesn't know that.
Superman doesn't know that. No. Superman. No sense in withholding information from you. So I don't know why he's not psychic. So someone offered to slay me and make it look accidental so that my family would benefit from my insurance policy. Superman says, I'm surprised that a man of your caliber, he just lost millions of dollars. Does he have that much caliber? Would even consider such a plan. You've made and lost fortunes before. I'm sure you can make another comeback. Somehow you fill me with new confidence. I promise not to take the easy way. Wow, you say I'm a good guy. I won't kill myself then. Okay.
This is the page I'm talking about.
Okay.
So first of all, let me just back up real quick. $1 million in 1941 is worth about $23 million today.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, this is the page. The first panel is the first one that made me crack up out loud. And it's Clark's response to Perry by saying, in a kind of a very sarcastic, I'm sure the Daily Planet readers will find the information very applicable to their daily lives. That just cracked me up because he's basically saying, yeah, I could do that, but our readers don't care about how a millionaire they don't care.
That is dry as hell. I
exactly.
mean, that is. Whew.
But then the other thing was what you just talked about, how suddenly Superman just says, I'm sure you can do it again. And the dude who's lost millions of dollars, who literally had to have a gun shot out of his hand because he was about to kill himself, who Clark just mentioned earlier, is speaking in the past tense as if he's already dead.
Right.
But it just takes that one sentence and he's like, hey, you're right. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-day.
From Superman, no less.
Yeah, exactly. It's just because it was from Superman.
All right. So later that evening, who is this? Binder. I managed to evade the trap for my life. I'm glad to say I've changed my mind. I want to live, talking to the boss. Or no.
One of his lackeys.
Yeah, another one of his lackeys, but not Chips, because he killed Chips.
Dead.
So, yeah. Chips is dead, babe. Chips is dead.
Chips is dead.
That's just too bad for you. That was an allusion to Pulp Fiction. Pretty bad.
I was thinking of, oh man, I think it just shot Reggie in the face.
Yeah, okay. The boss wants more. I'm sorry. I sit here and do all these things, but all these movies and song lyrics and everything else runs through my head too. So, the boss wants more dough, or he'll carry out the original agreement. So now that the boss knows that Milford or that Binder is alive, he is threatening to kill Binder unless Binder pays him money. So he's going to assassinate him unless you give over money. As the thug departs from the Binder mansion, a strong arm abruptly seizes his collar and whirls him aloft. Hey, let's have a talk, you and I. Or let you and I have a talk. Either way. Superman. Finally, somebody that recognizes Superman.
Well, Binder recognized him earlier.
You're right.
So, yeah.
So two people in this story. It's taken us almost 100 Superman stories for people to recognize who this weird dude is. Yep. So
this is a bad guy. I think we've had people previously say they recognize Superman, but they've all just been like regular citizens and whatnot.
Yeah. Okay.
But the bad guys, for some reason, who is this guy? But now finally we've got a bad guy. He's got his ear to the ground. He knows things.
And even Superman says, you recognize me, then you'd better talk fast. Who's your boss? What's his racket? Where can I find all these questions rapid fire? So, he's the guy who killed Starbuck, Corday, and the others and made it look accidental. So there is your complete connection. This guy that we know is the boss. So the boss was responsible for all those, as we've seen him try to apply the same technique to these other individuals, and for various reasons it has not worked out. Tonight he's gone calling on Senator McPhail. Do I have that name? Yes, I do. A subversive group has paid him plenty to finish off the senator and make it look accidental. So now he's just an assassin for hire. He's an assassin in wanting to kill Binder, and now he has moved into the full assassination for hire gig with the senator.
Well, and because they never explain why Starbuck and Corday and the other guy at the beginning, why they were killed.
Right.
So he may have been, he may have had his hands in all kinds of assassinate, hitman for hire, all that kind of stuff. I think it's just that his specialty is that whether he's going to kill you because he made a deal like he did with Binder, or somebody hired him to, his specialty is that he makes it look like an accident or suicide.
Right.
Which nowadays that's just what hitmen do,
I'll go so far as to make a very loose connection to the fact that perhaps he's working in association with the Bund, which is the group that we see in the next story. And that's a German-related group, which would relate it to World War II, taking out industrialists that making money for the U.S. And so there probably will be no connection whatsoever, but in my headcanon, there is. And he strands the dude on top of a church, I would say. I would think that that's a church steeple. Meanwhile, entering McPhail's home, the master criminal speculatively Speculatively? Okay, wow. Regards the dozing senator. One well-placed shot. Then I placed the gun in his hand, and it looks like suicide. Yeah, no, it's not that simple. There are some physics issues there that you have to keep in mind. As his telescopic X-ray vision brings him the scene below, Superman streaks down. Here he goes. Or no, here goes, Superman says. As the master criminal fires, Superman crashes in through the window and catches the bullet in his bare hand. I'll take that if you don't mind. That's Superman being quippy again. The senator wakes up. Well, what? And then Binder exclaims, Superman. Then in the next panel, I'm no match for the man of tomorrow. My only hope, flight. And not like through the air, like getaway flight.
Yeah.
So
I want to do a story about Senator McPhail. I want to do a story about, what led him to this moment. And because imagine you're snoozing in your chair. You're just having a nap in your chair, and suddenly a loud explosion wakes you up. Superman's there. There's a guy with a gun waking up to that. And then, but with this story, he wakes up, he goes, what? And then that's it. We don't know anything else about
the dude
it.
Rushes out, and Superman follows him. So the senator is sitting there still probably trying to piece together exactly what happened.
I want to do a story to see how that affected him, with the rest of his life.
Maybe he retired from whatever, if he's a state or congressional senator, he retired and spend more time with his family.
I also find it interesting that the boss refers to Superman here in this last panel as the man of tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Somebody somewhere has to have said that.
Yeah, maybe it was in a headline at some point.
For him to have picked it up, yeah. He's pursuing me like a hurtling arrow. I've got to do something quick or I'm done for. That bicycle. So the boss crashes into a youngster on the bicycle, hoping that it will divert Superman's attention. I would have to say that the way this panel looks, that once he hits this young man on the bicycle, the young man is probably dead.
Yeah, I call bullshit on this too.
There's not much Superman could have done. But instead, what it looks like is he, I don't know, hit the bike and caused it to go off the road, or hit the boy and the boy kicked up in the air conveniently, or something.
Rolled over the car.
Yeah, because the Binder says that should do it. While he's attending to the boy, I'll have a chance to duck up an alley and lose him for good. The old brain is still clicking. Superman pauses to catch the boy. So I guess he flew up in the air with his bike or whatever. No serious injury to you, for which let's be thankful, he says to the boy. And the way the boy's looking at him is like, who the hell are you?
What? Like, what? I was just riding my bike. What the hell happened?
Yeah, him and the senator, man. This is a day they're going to remember. Yeah.
See, from this point, the senator and this kid are now going to team up and start fighting crime.
Well, they're linked forever.
Right.
But for once, the mastermind is miscalculated. Easily, the man of tomorrow overtakes his auto and rips the top clear off. Awk! Superman, but I thought that's what Binder says when Superman is ripping the roof of the car.
Is that what Kathy says, or is hers Ack?
I think hers is Ack. I don't think there's a W there. But I thought that you'd evade justice. Anyone can tell you that crime doesn't pay. Superman. Actually, in the what was it, 50s, maybe 60s? That was the name of a comic book. Oh, yeah? Crime doesn't pay. 50s, maybe. Yeah. Not by DC, but one of the other companies that were out there. Don't hurt me. I'll confess everything. So Superman pulls him out of the car and is flying with him, and does the even though it doesn't look like he's intentionally doing anything, he scares him because he's flying with him. Later at headquarters, I'm going to assume this is police headquarters.
Yeah.
A prisoner for you, free of charge. Talking to Sergeant Casey again. I'm going to assume here because nothing says otherwise. I murdered Corday, Steele, and Starbuck, then made the deaths look accidental. Well, wait, you deserve a medal or something for this, as Superman is jumping out the window. And he says, I hereby bequeath it to you. which is fine, because he was a real smart ass to Clark about the fact that they were murders anyway. Yeah, so Casey deserves some kind of gruff.
That's like the 1940s version of him just flipping them off as he jumps out the window.
Final panel, we're in Perry's office. Perry is saying, "Remarkable, Clark. Uncanny how you were able to sense that those accidental deaths were really murder." Lois says, looking kind of coquettish here, "You're not forgetting that Superman deserves most of the credit, I hope." And Clark is standing there. He doesn't say anything.
Yeah. The end. Going back through this, I read it for the first time just this morning, but going back through it with you, this is one of those stories that when I finished it this morning, I was like, "Yeah, that's a good story. That was fun," but I enjoyed it much more going back through it with you. So,
cool.
Oh, can I point out on this page, second panel in the middle row, look at Superman's cape.
It's over his head. The wind is blowing and he's almost getting tangled in it. Yep.
It's one thing when we saw in the last story with his cape like draped over a branch of a tree. We've seen it weird in other stories, but for it to be going over his head in such a way, he looks so not heroic. And I just love it. So
the rest of the cape follows. I mean, the way it was intended to be drawn that way. The wind is blowing it back across him. Yeah. So it's very purposefully done.
Simone said you enjoyed it much more. One could say, ha ha. And she spelled more, M-O-O-R-E.
Oh, very punny.
For those of you at home, M-O-O-R-E, that's Ed's last name.
But puns are not hard.
Puns
Math
are great.
and physicallying, those are hard. And Savon says upside down smiley face. Or smiley face with a funky brow, whichever you want to, but yeah, it's upside down.
Yeah.
So, could be, forehead, forehead, but actually it's just an upside down smiley. Physicsing, that's it. Math and physicsing is hard.
Maths and physicsing. All right, final thoughts?
Just a good, fun story, but like I said, I'm starting to want more of Superman, and unfortunately, that's just because I'm reading it now. If I were reading it then, of course, there would be nothing else to compare to other than what they have given me of Superman. So in that, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the story. It is very typically Golden Age. If you were to just give this story to someone, it's a very Golden Age story. I don't think you have to have knowledge of anything before or anything else. Everything is here. Good guy, bad guy, maybe a little bit of not obvious what the crime was. And so you would really need to read at least to about the 2/3 point of the story to really have enough information to put together what was happening, which is cool. It definitely would keep people interested at least that far. And then, of course, if you're 2/3 of the way, well, you'll just finish the story to see how it ends, Yeah. Superman definitely flying, so it's about time that has happened. They're not saying anything, but they're not being coy about the artistry as far as how Superman is being drawn. Solid Golden Age story, nothing to necessarily remember or make historical notations about or anything like that. Just solid filler for this issue of the book.
Since we talked about Monty Python and the meaning of life earlier, I don't remember if we did that before we started recording or not, but I will compare this story and stories like this to Monty Python and the meaning of life. In general, as a whole, story was okay, but it had some great little moments that are some of my favorite Superman moments.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Would I tell somebody to go find this particular story? No, but if somebody has read it, it would definitely help in just fleshing out Superman, just to see what of the many things he has done over the years. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's like most of these, it's not an important story, but they're still fun.
Yep.
All right, I'll wrap it up then. Let me do that. Pull up my notes. All right. Next month on the Superman Super Show, Ed and I celebrate 100 episodes by looking at the first 12 of the daily newspaper Superman strips. Together, those strips tell one story titled Superman Comes to Earth, and they tell an expanded account of Superman's origins, and they were published from January 16th to January 28th, 1939. And remember, if you want to send any sort of congratulatory email or voice memo, you can send those to the Superman Super Show at gmail.com. And you have until the end of the day, Saturday, August 8th, to get those in, as we will be recording that episode on Sunday, August 9th. So until next time, folks, I'm Steven. That's Ed. And this was the Superman Super Show. Thanks for listening.
Ciao.
Ciao, Bella. And once again, this is the part of the show where Ed and I save our audio files.
Is that like the name for somebody that likes music?
Audio file, yeah. Different spelling for file, though.
Oh, okay. Phile.
There's a little T's.
Like fat, right? Phat.
Yeah. Pretty hot and tempting.
Yep.
Bye, Savon. All right. I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream. So thank you for joining us today. Episode 48 of the Superman Super Show Live, recording episode 99 of the audio podcast. Salutations.
Bye.
I can't get my cursor to do what it's supposed to.